Yes, ma'am. Read the profile of our speaker, Dr. Manjana, sir.
Good morning and warm welcome to you all for the webinar on paper writing and research report on innovation. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker of the day, Professor Jayappa Manjana, Professor and Chairman, Department of Chemistry, RCU Belgavi. The sir has born on 15th July in HG Halli, Chitradurga district. He holds a degree BSc with PCM and MSc in chemistry and PhD in industrial chemistry from Kuvempu University. And during his PhD, he has worked at BARC Mumbai under BRNS project during PhD. And as part of postdoctoral, he has worked as many many fellowships and research associate. He has worked as a research associate at BARC Mumbai as research associate, and JSPS fellowship was done in Hokkaido University, Japan during 2004 and 2006. And he has worked as a JSPS fellowship again between 2006 to 2009 at Abbott University, Japan. And he has worked as JST fellow at University of Tokyo, Japan from 2009 to 2010. And he has worked as assistant professor at Kuvempu University from 2010 to 2013 and worked as associate professor at Rani Chennamma University from 13 to September 2016 and also as a professor at Rani Chennamma University from 2016 till date. And now he is interested to teach in organic chemistry and selected topics in physical chemistry, analytical spectroscopy for MSc students. And he is also interested to do the research in material chemistry and waste management. And he has many feathers in publications, here, out of which he has done 3 patents, 1 obtained from Japan and 2 filed in India. And he has published nearly 80 peer-reviewed in 80 peer-reviewed journals and in 10 refereed journals. And he has attended nearly 80 seminars and conferences, and he has published 1 book chapter and 6 technical reports. And he has done 54 invited lecturers lecturing at national seminars and conferences. And nearly he has 2,000 citations, out of which 25 under H index and 42 under I-10 index. And he has undertaken many projects as BRNS DAE nearly worth 31 lakhs and DST faced nearly 1.23 crores and nearly VGST projects of 60 lakhs, and he has worked under many minor projects which worth 2 lakhs rupees at RCU. And also he has worked at DST Nano Mission for MTech program, which is worth 2.85 crores, and VGST MISR, so which is worth nearly 4 lakh, and he has worked on many internal and minor projects. And he has guided nearly 10 PhD students, out of 4 of them have completed and still 6 are working under him. And he has held many administrative jobs. He has worked as coordinator in MTech for nanoscience and nanotechnology, and he's a chairman Department of Chemistry at Rani Chennamma University, and he has worked as nodal officer to Overseas Education Center at RCU, and is a member of IPR Cell and Research Advisory Committee, member secretary of CITRA, etc., and organized state level, national and international seminars and conferences. And he is the member of many affiliation committees, steering committees for AAA and NAC preparation at RCU. And he is the member of many professional bodies, and he is a member of many academic bodies like BOS, chairman of PG in chemistry and chairman, and he is the member of doctoral committee, and he is the BOS chairman of UG in chemistry, zoology, microbiology and biotechnology at RCU, and he is the BOS member at RCU, Kuvempu University, and also in VTU, and he is the BOE chairman and member in most of the universities in Karnataka, and he has reviewed nearly more than 20 theses of PhD. So here's wishing you many more feathers in your cap. Hearty welcome to the function, sir. Webinar, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Asif.
Thank you,
Thank
Jyoti
you.
ma'am. Now I take the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Suresh DS, Director and Principal, Channabaseshwara Institute of Technology, Chairman, ISTE Karnataka Section, who lives as a backbone to all the happenings of our institute. I welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Shantala CP, Vice Principal, Head, Department of CSE, Chairman, IAI Tumkur Local Center. Madam is always the source of inspiration and guiding support for all the events. I welcome you, ma'am. I also welcome Professor Anil Kumarji, Coordinator, Department of CSE, who always supports and drives us for any activities conducted by the department. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome all the HODs, coordinators, and all the staff members to this event. I'd like to welcome all the participants to this webinar. I wish this webinars will be a roadmap for your research career. I request our beloved Director, Dr. Suresh DS, sir, to enlighten participants of the webinar with his words. Sir.
Yeah, thank you, Asif. And first of all, on behalf of our CIT family, I would like to thank Dr. Manjana for accepting our invitation and he has come forward to give a talk on paper writing and research report on innovation. I think still I remember when Jyoti KS approached during our IAC Institution Innovation Council meeting on this topic. Immediately I said Dr. Manjana's name because I know his background and since we are very close relatives and professionally how aggressively he is moving forward. I thought he is the right person with having versatile experience at both at national and international level. He is the right person. I think his profile speaks about his achievements. So just brief information to all the participants who are on this webinar. This is a part of Institution Innovation Council activity. So we are organizing this paper writing and research report on innovation as a part of second quarter activity. So I would like to emphasize here in the next century, maybe because of this pandemic, in the coming days, I think it has really brought a lot of eye-opening among all the academicians. It is not the conventional way the universities work and the college work has really changed. It is now the most of the things will be driven by the intellectual capability of the individuals and the technological infrastructure. I'm specifically mentioning the technological infrastructure because because of pandemic, even though 10 months of we are away from the personal connection with the students, I think nothing has stopped with respect to the teaching and learning activities. Why I'm telling is now in future, either the institutions or the individuals, we should think about upskilling ourselves and more towards innovation and research. Other than the regular physical infrastructure will nowhere matters where you are connected. Because in one of the universities, like I was where I was a member, so we were planning to bring a simulation-enabled learning platform. What is simulation-enabled learning platform is like most of the softwares, like most of the colleges keep purchasing the softwares. So instead of that, now the redundancy of having the softwares in the individual institutions will go off in a very short way. So yeah, there will be a technology platform. A computer science guy, if he wants to work on some AI platform, and a chemistry person wants to work on some other platform, and electronics guys, if you want to work on another platform, you can just have a connection to them, take a membership, just log in, use the softwares, work, do the experiments, and take the simulation results. I think this is the next era which is going to happen. So I think with these all sort of things, the role of the researchers, the role of the faculties, and obviously when the role of teachers and when the role of researchers changes, obviously the end beneficiaries is the students. They are going to get better benefits from our side, and they again, because they are the next generation kids who are going to train the education system or drive the education system. So this will be an eye-opening. I think in the next coming days, the learning capability of the individual will be not only from the conventional classroom, it will be from the day-to-day learning activities. So with this, why this innovation plays a major role? I think in India, if you see, I think I heard like Dr. Manjana is also the member of IPR and Patent Cell at Rani Chennamma University. Even though we had a lot of innovations in our ancient Indian system, but we are very poor in documentation. I think that has led to the other part of the Western countries to take over and have the huge number of patents. I think this is the hour of need. I think your ideas can be patented, your small experiments can be patented, but before we talk about patent, but instead of that, we should know how to write a report on whatever the work that we are going to do. Even we do projects, I think see, my understanding with this technical education from 25 years is we do a lot of things. We talk a lot of things, but we fail to document, and we don't know like how to document properly. I think with this background, I request Dr. Manjana to take over the session on paper writing and research report on innovation. And hopefully, I know Dr. Manjana is such a friendly person. Maybe even after the webinar, you can take his mobile number and email, and you can be in touch with him. I'm sure that he is going to answer all your queries. I wish all the participants a wonderful next one and a half hour session with Dr. Manjana will be a very fruitful, and definitely will take away something from this workshop. And congratulate Dr. Professor Jyoti K.S., Asif, and the entire team of computer science for having organized this and as part of IIC. And Dr. Manjana sir, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh.
Thank you, sir, for sharing valuable and precious technical information. Really, it will benefits for the participants. Now, I hand over to Dr. Manjana, sir. Sir, you can share the screen, sir.
Yeah. So first, let me thank all the organizers and also the director and principal of your CIT for inviting me to deliver this particular talk on paper writing and some innovations related issues. So I think Dr. Suresh has really highlighted all the basic the reason for conducting this kind of webinars or the seminars and all this. And this is the need of the hour, as you rightly said. So now we are moving in a very different direction. So we need to have all this, as you said, by making these reports and all these kind of updates. Although we have been doing all this kind of activities. So this is very important thing, and especially I know that a lot of the young researchers, the entry-level researchers are in. So that I think this will be useful. I think it is the main focus. The audience is only those group who are just entry-level researchers, because I have prepared in that direction, so that to give kind of a basic understanding about what is that research paper is, and what is the the components and how to make it, and what are the new avenues, and what are the various possibilities platforms available to improve your the write-up skill and other things. So let me just go into the sharing the screen, and through that I will proceed. Yeah, just a minute. I, One second. I'm trying to share that one. Yeah, 1 second. So now. ಈ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ.
Sir, right bottom screen present now you give entire screen, sir. At the right bottom you can see present now you give entire screen. Yes, sir, we can see your screen, sir. Sir, kindly unmute, sir. We are not able to hear. Sir, go to Google Meet link, sir. Left bottom, Google Meet link. There you need to unmute yourselves. Yeah. Google Meet. Google Meet link here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Done. Okay. Yeah. Now it's fine now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. I'll go ahead now. Yes. Yeah. Let me. Sorry for this slight technical disturbance. Well, I'll screen this entire thing. I'll share this entire screen. Yeah. This is about my topic. To discuss with you all about this paper writing and research report and these innovations. So before I exactly start this particular thing, so we should also understand. See, when you have to write a report and to make some research reports or the innovations and all that. First of all, you should have some sufficient data. I mean, you should collect the topic that you have been working on. You should be able to collect the required data, and then you will be able to do all this paper writing, report writing, all that. I think many of you may be doing all this kind of thing. Now you need to have an integration and how you will be able to connect all that and get into the thing. Now, for example, see now as I say, this entry-level researchers means now maybe some of you maybe say undergraduate students or some are or that master course or some may be doing some research or some early research researchers. See, they all need to understand that this is a very important issue. Now we have been say right from our studies and all that, you have been consuming the knowledge. Now when you are now the phase has come. Now we need to create a knowledge, and that is possible through your R&D activities and other acquiring the skills and utilizing this and to solve the day-to-day problems faced in all sector, all sorts of life. So it may be in different walks of life. So therefore, so this research and innovation is actually to create a knowledge and skill in a person to do many other activities required for this thing. Now, if I look at the innovations, I just taken some of the terms, languages from the in your computer science or say in computer science field. So especially people talk about something called IoT kind of things, Internet of Things, where you can integrate many is a device, whatever that signals coming from devices and integrate, and you'll be able to operate from a single point and all those things. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, data mining, computing and algorithms, simulations. Just now Suresh was talking about, and this one or that various simulation. Then comes this kind of image processing, including in the medical diagnosis, etc. So this radio frequency, this RF reader and transportation in various smart city projects. This kind of these are some open source things I just try to gather to give us some kind of an idea that there are various possibilities to do R&D activities, take up some new things and then apply. See, not just to study and forget. You need to all these. You have to bring it to a device level and then integrate and then make up that for a real system application. That is very important. See, in the beginning, you may do a lot of kind of a laboratory scale things. Then you have to scale up, pilot plant scale, and then come to the industry level. All those things. It's all very step-by-step process. It cannot happen in a overnight. So it is it's you have to spend a lot of time, and you have to coordinate with people in different sectors, different the engineering, science, application level, service oriented, all these things. Therefore, these days you are all because this computer science, engineering, and all this, it's giving a lot of input to the societal changes that we see here, the positive changes, the new technology development, and all that. It is happening in a big way. So you all are very much aware this mobile app, the environment itself is giving a lot of all these, maybe we are doing a kind of a, I think, sorry. Sometimes this I have connected through mobile actually. Sometimes people keep calling and get disturbed. Well, see, you see that in this mobile application itself, lot of applications that we see. See our right from this maybe doing some kind of internet banking to whatnot, everything you can book a trains, buses, transportation, integration you can handle remotely many things. So therefore, is a countless. So many activities are able to do through your all the softwares and this kind of a new developments and all that. Now, if you go through all this, a lot of innovations have taken place in the recent past. Just to give a kind of a glimpse, this just now I said, the internet, broadbanding, all these mobile sectors, the emails, these are all, although it's evolved, say from last to say few, maybe 2-3 decades, all these things have happened. It's a big change in our life. So that means now we have to know, so all these changes, we have to take it in the right direction to see the positive results. So it should not, although it is creating a lot of materialistic life, at the same time, it should be somehow we should change it in a very fruitful usage of this, all these devices, all this technology, all those things. Therefore, we have a all these lists you see that microprocessor, fiber optics, a lot of softwares are being, especially India is known, the Silicon Valley, Bangalore is considered as the Silicon Valley. So therefore, you do a lot of develop a lot of softwares and export that, and a lot of companies have come up, startups are there. So all this you see that still further, see online shopping, that e-commerce, these are all countless activities are going on, the new developments are going on, all because of this new development, this R&D again coming into a service sector. So you see that social networking by internet, graphical use, all these. So there's a countless things are going. So now after all this, now you see we also recently fast, it's the government of India's encouraged to do something called Startup India. It has catalyzed many of these the new companies to start up and accelerate their entrepreneurship and their skills, making building a companies, expanding them and connecting with various other companies, related companies and all that. And there are a number of these supporting organizations or the societies, all those things. For example, this FICCI, Federation of Indian Commerce, Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I think Dr. Suresh is very much into all these activities maybe. So that's how we have many this things around us. One only thing is we should know about all these things, make use of their services and use them. So that's how it goes like that. Now, so now with all this background, so what is required is now you see we should also focus on R&D. So it is you can very well see that now recently a lot of R&D papers have been coming up in India, but the quality, if you look at it, we are lagging in a big way. Okay, though it is considered to be almost a third highest number paper producing country. So China, US, and India, all these things. But if you look at the quality of the papers, the research papers, I think we are not doing fairly compared to the world average. Therefore, we need to improve in a big way. So it is applicable to everybody. So though I am going to give this lecture, it is applicable to me also. Though, but as I said, this lecture is mainly for an entry-level researchers to motivate them and kind of give some shape and all that. So it is because the R&D or whatever in this academic and R&D, it's a continuous learning. It is nothing like you get saturated and all that. So I'm going to show somewhere Dr. CNR Rao's is one also research paper. So even after it's close to 90 plus maybe, so still they're so actively they work all that. So it's a lifelong learning. There is nothing like I'm completely saturated. I know everything. It's never we reach such a state, and one should not also. Well, so in this paper writing, so papers is referring to mainly these journal papers, journal articles, what we say, and not only journal articles, you can also publish many kind of reports for maybe for internal use, external use, may especially some kind of a project reports we do, and also if something very useful and which very for a general kind of the innovation, something you do some innovation which is of general usage, public interest, all these things you can also report in kind of a newspaper, some magazines. Number of such platforms are there to communicate your ideas and all that, and including patenting and all that. Now let us start with some kind of a regular paper writing. So this is a very important activity. See here, see paper writing, all these R&D centers, universities, all the higher education centers, all faculty members. In higher education, the faculty members are not just do only teaching and all. So it's a teaching and research activities. R&D also is a part of this one, higher education. So because you will need to be trained in project. You see, when you come to the master level or even in your undergraduate level, you do project work. It's all R&D activities. Okay. So therefore, you need to, you come up with some kind of, the modules you develop some softwares, or you may do some kind of findings on basics and engineering, all those things. So therefore, how to put it in a particular pattern as per the requirement of the journal publications and all that. So here, if you as a general types of papers being published in various journals. See, journals for undergraduate students I'm talking about. The journals, there are more than about say 25,000 journals are there, different. In scientific and in your own field, you will find about thousands of journals. So journals are, each they are different, publishing agencies like Elsewhere, Springer, Whaley, and so many. They in your own IEEE. So all these, they have a kind of a publishing agency, and they bring out a very quality journals, and their periodicals actually see every month. In some journals maybe fortnightly, some are weekly. So therefore, some are quarterly, once in 4 months. Like this, different kind of journals are there. So then all these journals, see, they publish whatever there will be an individual author or an individual inventor or a group or kind of this, the entire team. It may be a group is a small numbers. So team may be big. Okay. So for example, in kind of some medical research and all, in a huge team, I see some of the research articles having some hundreds of authors, especially in medical fields, say doctors from different, especially the investigation or the innovation involving kind of a survey kind of thing. Survey. For example, even now this COVID-19 thing, how these vaccines are doing in different parts of the world and in different age group. This kind of, again, there is a lot of scientific innovation is there in that. Not just survey, because it is a combination. So some people gather that information, and some scientists are, these doctors try to integrate how this in the go up to the molecular level. So that's how, say, this kind of, all these R&D, so that's how it may be an individual, it may be a group or a team. So you all can report and, publish in that, and it reaches wide, the readers, and it reaches nooks and corners of this globe, and people are able to read that, and it becomes a document for the future. So, and future researchers also can refer. Therefore, this is a very good media, platform to publish your thing. So you see that, you have a kind of a letters communicating, and short communication, rapid communication, and you can also write it as a note. This is usually a very short, this thing, right? Short note, maybe a 2-3 pages article, which you want to make sometime, you need to do some rapid communication, means very quickly, because you have a long-term goal of, gathering some more data and more, say, conclusion you need to draw. So, but in the meantime, you also want to make sure that, you want to claim that particular investigation or particular innovation. In that connection, so the initial results and all that, somehow you can make it a kind of a short communication or a short letter, the initial results, something quick for quick communication. So that kind of a letters can be written. And also a full-length article. So of course, once you establish, fully understand the system and all that, you can write a full-length article. So that will be, sometimes you call it a regular research paper in most of the journals. See, all these journals, they also publish 1 or 2 or say few, say, such letters or rapid communications. Finally, they also do full-length articles, number of, and also few reviews. See, review is a kind of a, this is, see, over a period of time, say from last 10 years, 15 years, what has been happened in particular area. Okay, especially the reviewer, the person who writes a review, if he is also working in that particular field, that review becomes a very quality review. Okay, so for example, in your say artificial intelligence or something applicable to, say, for certain applications, or for example, IoT kind of things for some sensors, let us say gas sensors, something. So how to integrate in that area? So let us say you can write a review. Okay, so that what is happening from last several years. So that see in the different parts of the world how people have tried to solve that thing and what is that is taken care and very chronologically. So in a very systematic way and with the new, so starting from the beginning to so now until this recent happenings, so that you can document very beautifully, and that becomes a very good document. And review articles are much more valued compared to this full length articles. So because review article means it is a real understanding, and it's a lot of because it's not individuals invention, it is a for a period of time from several researchers, several research group we are well established. So that kind of thing. Then you also see after the once something is a bit established and you are much more confident of that, you can also bring it into a book form. So some people write just a chapters in a certain book, and you can write a full-length text book, but not it cannot be called as a textbook, and it is usually not referred to say convey this formal education system, because something has to come into a normal textbook means it should be thoroughly understood. There should not be any biasing. There should not be. It should not be in the still R&D stage. See, concept. All these concepts should be very clear. Then only it should come to a books which you can refer to, say graduate or undergraduate, all those students. But otherwise, see R&D books, that is only for to help the R&D research, the people, community, all those people. So these are the kind of things you can make a kind of a paper writing. Further, the reports also, see, for example, this is Berkeley or that national laboratory. For example, our in India, BRC makes a kind of a, every month they make a BRC report, which are well valued. So similarly, various organizations do kind of a reports. See, I'm not talking about something annual report and all you write. That is not that is something different. But these reports, which have a kind of some kind of, for example, DRDO bringing out some report, internal report related to some kind of a their mandatory activities. So those are also very interesting, and they also have a kind of a bibliographic information. Their that report is also well documented and referred. They will have all those digital DOI numbers or ISBN, ISSN numbers, all those things they will have. So that is one way. And second, people write for your master degree and thesis writing, that is also there. So that also, in fact, any dissertation that you do, once you publish and make a dissertation report, I think that is much more valued. When you send it for say any valuation or your this one assessment, that becomes very easy because it has already been reviewed and it has been accepted and it has been published. Then becomes very easy for a examiner to look into that. So you are all aware, so those who are doing doctorate degree and all that. See, for thesis now, that's why the UGC from last few years, earlier now they publish at least research paper. Is a very good step for say young researchers and these PhD candidates are including postdoctoral, all those people. So even for this PhD thesis itself, say 2 research paper is good. So especially now they say one should be international and all. So I think with that kind of a training, say if you understand what is the the effort required in making a paper. So it is not making paper means you should first collect the data. So collection of data, what are the preparations you have to make, experimental facilities or simulations. So all those things. So therefore, this all will help you to make a kind of understanding about the deeper thing and all that. Well, so with all this, again, the very important thing, as Dr. Suresh was mentioning, let's say these patents. See, patenting is also very important issue, and that's what we have been lagging, the Indians. But recently, see, in a number of the patent filing has increased in India also. It's going up. So, but we are far behind China and other countries. Well, this patenting now, I think, rather I tell you, based on my experience, I have also filed about 3 patents. One is awarded. So I tell you, sometimes it is very rather easier process to make go for patent filing than publishing a very good journal. Okay, I mean journal research papers of high good impact factor and all. Okay, I'll come to that a little later. Well, so therefore this patenting, we have all these IPR, so intellectual property right disease. So we have a patent office, regional patent office, 4 regional patent office in India. So nearest is our this one, what is that? Chennai. Just hold on. I have some kind of internet disturbance. Okay. ಬಿಪಿ ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನೊಂದು ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ. ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಹಲೋ ಜ್ಯೋತಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. So sometime now because I connected with the Dinesh. Hello Dinesh. Very internet connect. Hello. वो उधर लेके जब मैं लेक्चर दे रहा हूँ आपको व्हाट्सएप में फोन करो. हाँ ये फोन. ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ದ? ಆಯ್ತಾ?
We are able to hear you, sir.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. See, whenever I start a talk, now people start calling so many telephones and all that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, now you are able to hear now, right?
Yes, sir. We can hear your voice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just continue with that. See, this patenting again, as I said, you have all these 4 say regional patent office in India: Chennai, Mumbai, Kolkata, and what else? Delhi. Yeah. So these 4 centers, you have that, and there is if you visit this Indian patent office, you have a very specific geographical locality. So you can also go to that particular all these southern states should go to this Chennai, and also the other few states have been marked for this Mumbai. So and now you don't have to visit physically. Now you can all do it sitting at home and doing online filing. So it's all very easy, and you can need to make the number of claims that you are trying to do. Okay, what are the claims means the especially what kind of in your particular process, what is that you want to claim. That means from this invention can do this invention can do this, something like that. So this kind of the claims, based on that you can also different category of these patents are available. So accordingly one can file a patent, and it takes some 3-4 years, especially for this patent awarding. So once you make a that filing, and it undergoes a scrutiny, and you can also publish a kind of that abstract of such a patent, and it is available for the public. So anybody has something to make any other conflict of interest or something, they can make an objections and all. If there is nothing to the such objections, it will go for examination, and it is like a just paper review. So it will also be sent for some suitable experts and all that, and they would be raising the certain various objections and all. If you are satisfactorily able to give those answers, then this claim will be accepted, and you can make a patent of that. Patent of many things. Patent of your procedures, of the process, the devices, the various things. So therefore it's all possible. So to do, you can realize with your good R&D activities. So you can do all sorts of what, as I said, writing this kind of papers, making reports, making the books and book chapters, making this all this. If you are doing PhD and all, making a thesis, and then patenting certain items in your R&D, wherever you feel that this based on the literature survey. So if you think that it is worth making public, patenting, which has a kind of a usefulness to the society and also industries, the people will come forward. It is protecting your innovation, and of course you can also disclose such an innovation to the suitable say party who comes forward to take that particular idea. And you can also think of taking a royalty. All those things are there. Therefore, this is all very good activity. It should be followed. I will later enter into the different steps in the paper writing above, especially for a full-length article. What are things? So now I also said something like you can also go for kind of a larger visibility. Say you can highlight in kind of a TV new channels, disclosing certain your R&D activities, some innovations, etc. You can also publish in newspapers, etc. You might be reading in the Hindu newspaper, etc. in the, I think, Thursday or something, some of the various science and technology, the innovations coming from some good organizations and all, it is being published. For instance, say this is something which my student is now doing postdoctoral studies at Portugal. So he was also earlier in the USA. He did his PhD in ISC. He did my MTech with me in Coimbatore University, MTech in Nanoscience and Technology. See, just to show you, you can, like this, you can number of things you can see in the newspapers also. Like, so when he was doing in ISC for PhD, see, ISC scientists create the painless microneedles. He was an electronic engineer. So he got into some kind of applied physics type of things. Then he was able to develop this kind of devices, microneedles, especially for the sugar patients and all, the peerless. This one painless this thing. We were able to, this particular device is able to do that. That kind of very, wherever you have a lot of interest, such things you can also put it in this kind of a platforms. This is also kind of publication and kind of a that it reaches wide readers, all those things. So just now I was talking something called rapid communication and all that. For example, my own paper sometime back, say in 2007, I published something very small articles, maybe about 2 pages or something. Say rapid communication in say Journal of Nuclear Science and Technology. Similarly, say letters. This is also small. Like this, there are a number of things. So we have published something, in the material letters. It's very small, so like this. And if you want to go for say full-length articles, yes, you can go for. I just show you some of my these papers. Like you can go for this kind of a full-length papers. Okay. So therefore, I want to now show you. So these are all, of course, all these faculty members are very much aware that since this semi-webinar is being conducted by computer science and engineering. So therefore, I want to show you the popular journals in your field, especially from this IEEE. So you have a number of this very good journals. You can all publish in various. You can find whatever the innovations or the R&D activity that suits. See, by looking at the name of this journal itself, you get some idea what kind of articles they may accept or they are interested. Acceptance comes next. So at least, say for example, if I try IEEE transaction on pattern analysis and machine intelligence. So now you can think, you cannot put something, say for example, you are working on sensor or you are working on something medical, some diagnostic activities or some software development, something. So it should match to that interest. And if you visit this particular journal website, so they give the scope of this particular journal and the areas of the thing they accept or they're interested in taking the papers. Therefore, accordingly, you can find a suitable journals. In fact, later I'm going to tell it is also possible to find the suitable journals online. Now all these things have come. So therefore, you can think of all doing a kind of a different say journals. You can find out. You see that in your own say computer science and engineering. See, just a few. These are all very big journals. I think these are all very reputed journals. So we call something called peer-reviewed journal. Peer-reviewed means, peer means what that experts have reviewed. Say sometime for your college and all, they say a peer team will visit. Say for example, AICT peer team will come. Something like that. So this is also a peer-reviewed is a. See, when you submit your research articles, that the journal will in turn send your say manuscript or the article for review to some 2-3 experts depending on the journal. So at least some 2 or 3 reviewer experts will go through your article and they will look at it. They will comment. What is the possibility of modification? So if there is a possibility for modification and improvement, or it can be accepted directly if it is well written or is a very good data, etc. Or many times they would be asking you for what to say this kind of a review, sorry, what is that? Revision. So revision, sometime it may be a minor revision or it could be a major revision. So minor revision, major revision. So all that they ask, if you're able to clarify all that and improve your manuscript with all their suggestions and furthermore. So if you can do all this, yes, next once you submit the revised manuscript, so it would be accepted. Sometimes it goes for 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, okay, several time revisions. It's possible. It's good actually. You should take it in a positive way, and you should try to, because once a comments come from an expert, that is a very good feedback for us to improve our own this thing, our R&D activities in this direction. Therefore, you see that these are the kind of very well established, well reputed journals in your own field. Okay, so published from elsewhere, Valley and Springer, Oxford Academic Press, AAP. There are so many. In my chemistry background, I can tell several. Okay, so we say we have a, apart from this elsewhere and Springer, we have a lot of say American Chemical Society is there, Royal Society of Chemistry. These are very reputed journals. Okay, for each agency is making say 50 to 100 journals. So and on different areas. Okay, well. So in addition to that, this is a journal. I think before that, you should also think of when as a beginner or anybody. So before submitting to any of your findings, you should think of first presenting these findings or the outcome of your research in kind of a seminar, seminar, symposia, conference, workshop, etc. at the national or international level. Actually, one thing many people should understand. See, when you have to make this oral or poster presentations, poster means you all know that you make a poster and you be in our India, in our country, we take it very lightly, most of these things. But if you, because I stayed in Japan and other countries I have visited, see, there these researchers are very serious. When they're making a oral presentation or poster presentations, they give a lot of importance. And whenever the data that they report is a highly reproducible data. It is not that they never rush for publications. Okay, so all this one should learn. All our young researchers should learn these things, that you should not be greedy about making publications and all that. So therefore you should making a thorough understanding of that. Doesn't matter how long it takes, you spend sufficient time. Science cannot be done in overnight. So sufficient digestion, okay, discussion with the experts, not just you cannot decide alone. Wherever possible, make good collaborations, make a healthy discussions, positive. You should take in a positive way all such discussion. And see, for as I said, all these things can also happen through when you present through this kind of a conferences, etc. Actually, here, see, any seminar that oral poster presentation of R&D should go in conferences. Actually, many of our own organizers in some colleges and here and there, what I see, seminars also they invite papers. Symposium also invite paper. It's not bad. See, seminar is meant for making a kind of a, say, some experts you call, ask him to give some lectures of his expertise. Okay, those are called seminars. So you can have on a one particular topic, you can have a different experts, invite them, or you can maybe internal or external, whatever it is. Those are seminars where this R&D, say, this paper presentation should not happen there actually. So to base, and even symposia also. Now conferences are meant for this what is that, paper poster presentations. Okay, so there, apart from your invited talks, you have a what is that, keynote address followed by what you can say this all these speakers, oral what is that, invited talks and all that. So plenary lectures we call, okay, from a very senior experts, senior in the sense in the R&D sector, who has well established researchers and all. So something in that particular area. It need not be all the time researchers. You may be, depending on the same theme of the conference, etc. You can also invite the industrialists, those who have the first-hand experience in dealing with the devices, all those things. Therefore, accordingly, you can do you have a plenary talks followed by invited talks, and also you can make kind of oral poster presentations. I think many of you are familiar with that. You must be visiting the seminar conference. And here, only thing is, one should be serious, both by the organizers and also by the presenters. So these things one should take care. And also these workshops are meant for kind of having a hands-on experience training. Of course, so see, softwares and all, you can do it at sitting. It can happen online also. But many of these, experimental kind of thing. So it's a hands-on experience. That's why we call them as a workshops. Now, what we are doing is in webinars. I just want to tell you I want to make a distinction of these, and also one should take part in such events, occasions, all these thing. Therefore, when you make the sufficient discussion on in these occasions, I think it's possible to improve your quality of R&D and all those things. Well, so with that, see, for example, say I've seen many people in abroad, say they make a very nice, they apart from that, they have something called research groups, wherein the people working in that particular area, so they discuss among themselves. Okay. So, for example, few laboratories from this, say from your college, somebody working in the same area, say in your artificial intelligence or so machine learning or something, so neural networking. Say those who are connected with that, so they can come together once in a while, occasionally meet, discuss. Then, as they present their results and all that, mutually it should be helpful, and they should be able to improve their overall what is that understanding of the things that they have been studying. Like that it goes. Then after all that, if you put it into a journal, then the acceptance, level of acceptance, not only level of acceptance, your quality overall. Once that paper is published, see that once it's, though you are even if you publish in a, say, relatively what you say low impact journal, still you will have a very good citations. Okay. So once the quality of the your article, so research article is good, so then people will be able to judge that. Once they look at, yes, it's well written, it's a very good finding, all those things, and well interpreted. When you do kind of a research and discussion things, that speaks about the researcher. That's how you can make, it can be improved with all these things. Well, so that's how it goes. Now, see, coming to this kind of a, some people also do, if you are one particular organization, let us say from Atomic Research Center or something. So though they are doing kind of a many activities related to nuclear energy and all that. For example, if they make kind of a, they do such things, kind of a special conference, seminars and all that, and they can bring out some kind of a special issue for publication in some journals. Say, for example, just now I showed some nuclear science and technology. There are a number of nuclear related journals. Okay. So in such journals, they can always ask for a special issue, because we are making a kind of a conference, etc., wherein we will do a very scrutiny of the presentations and a regular review process will be done and all that. So those things are there. Like that, it's also possible to publish in such, say, maybe a proceedings or special issues. They also have a value. Okay, certain proceedings will have this ISSN numbers or ISBN number. ISSN is for journals, ISBN is for textbooks, okay, or the books. Okay, and each article will have something called digital object identifier, DOI numbers. For example, something like everything 10.1016 bar J.Clay something. This is a one journal which I'm going to show you that. Like this, each of, especially in those say well the recognized journals, in that each article will have this particular DOI number. Okay, so this is an unique number. So if you just put this DOI number in Google or in any, say, search engines, so a lot of this SciFind or various other scientific platforms are there. You can get these full articles if your institution has certain access. Of course, now we have a very various say open source access also for the downloading different. Not only that, some of these journals actually they publish some of their journals open access. So many of these open access journal, you need to there are some page charges and all that. So in a country like us, where say R&D is not funded, especially for publication charges and all that, therefore it's very difficult to publish as open access journals. So of course, many of these Springer and elsewhere now they are turning, say, 50%. Or not 50, so few articles they publish as open access. For that they make a publication charges. It does not mean that it is a publication after payment. It's not so. These articles will be reviewed as per the regular procedure, and then they will be published. And of course this regular subscription mode is there. So that means you don't need to pay, and there's a journal the publishing agencies like Elsewhere, Springer, all those things what I said, they have their all this mode of funding them, and they publish, and the journals will be issued. So that's how this is probably, these are various modes, seminar, conference, and they're also making a proceedings or special issues or going for journals, and journal itself they're making a open access or a regular subscription mode and all that. And when you are to send some your manuscript to the journals, see, you need to make all some different components. This is very important. So I just made some few things. I think most of the journal, for a general that publication it is. Okay, so you will be writing a letter to the editor saying that, see, please find what is that your article says. So I am please find the article, say, titled so and so, authored by so and what is the main findings of that. You can make a small, say, paragraph saying that, what is the main finding. So and asking, requesting them for consideration for publication and all that, and making a kind of something called graphical abstract, and some journals call it as a table of content. So graphical abstract is actually a kind of a schematic representation of what is the main findings. Okay, and a few highlights. Highlights means some few bullet points. So making some 4 or 5 points of the main findings, and also some journals ask for some kind of a novelty statement. See, during submission of your manuscript for the journal publication, there itself they ask, by looking at the novelty statement. Novelty is what is new in that, how far, how good it is compared to the other, all those things. This, others means literature survey and other overall thing in that particular field. So the novelty statement. So you need to make it just a paragraph, say within about 500 words, 250 words, something like that. So what is that new thing? So what is that importance of this work? Something you should make a statement. So all these, they will, by glancing all these things, the editors will, judge whether this manuscript can be considered for further, say, process, like sending it for, say, review process. Because review is a very noble job. It is most of the reviews happen without any, so no payment or no this thing. It's all based on the some just recognition. So we also get several papers for review. So review is a very noble job. So you are spending a lot of your time. So, and they have recognized you because considering your expertise and all that. Therefore, unnecessarily sending some kind of a junk journals to somebody who is so busy and whose time is so precious for them, one should not do that. So therefore, some kind of a initial scrutiny happens before doing all those process. Therefore, so one should be very careful in writing, because you publish and then again it comes back, and then again you search for some other journal. Of course, it is happening with many of us, but still, what I say is a kind of as an ideal thing. One should do all these process, and then you should also declare something called there is no conflict of interest. Okay, that means these are all the kind of a, if you have a kind of a legal issues, or see somebody you're in some company and you entered into doing some PhD, and you bring some say company things there, and you do something. This kind of a conflict of interest should not happen. So one day, if a company person will come to know that you have stolen some of their ideas or process which is ongoing or something that without their permission, so in that day you can sue you in a court of law. So therefore, or you have taken some funding from somebody, maybe a government, non-government, or private, whatever it is. So you are supposed to acknowledge properly. So what is that? And there are some terms and conditions. Okay, so whether you have followed all that. So this kind of thing. So therefore, you should be very, say, honest in doing all this, because science and see R&D, the whole thing is it's finding the truth. Okay, so the whole R&D process is digging out a truth. Okay, so research. So you are you are doing a research. You are searching something which is existing, but in a very systematic way, in a scientific way. Okay, therefore here one should be very careful, and also there should not be any, for example, if somebody has worked with you, some team member or a group member whom you have not taken as an author or co-author, or is not being acknowledged, and you have used certain facilities. So all these things come into picture. So therefore, so these days most of the journals ask for this kind of a declaration of the conflict. So therefore, there should not be any aftermath effects. Okay, therefore this also should be taken care. And the supporting data, say in addition to your manuscript, what I told you, so whether it may be a letter or a regular research article, maybe a review, or whatever it is. So everywhere, for example, see, there are some kind of see, journal, you cannot they cannot publish whatever you give. There's endless, people gives a 50 page, 100 page, something like that. So they are very, this each page, each line, each say square meter matters for them. So therefore they cannot be publishing and making this thing, and it should be very handy also, and they have certain norms. Therefore, if something you think that it's a kind of it's not required in that particular article, but for a general reader it is required, so you can simply deposit that supporting data. You can send a file, but that will not be published in that article, but they will provide a link. See, who is interested, they can always get that online material. It is you can download and you can cross refer. So you collect, for example, say you do a lot of survey or so many other things, lot of data comes, lot of tables, figures, so many things. That all you can just put it as a reference, and the main findings you can come in the main text of the manuscript. So like this supporting data wherever necessary. And very important thing is this plagiarism, or now the more better word is the similarity check. So a number of softwares are there. For example, there's something called the Urkund and other this thing. So there are online softwares also, the plagiarism check. So see, many of these journals want this plagiarism or the similarity report should be less than about 8%, 10%, something. Okay, and some journals are very strict, less than 6%, they say. Okay, therefore it is very I understand there are a lot of difficulties to improve that. In many times we tend to have that similar kind of a sentence and all that, but nevertheless when you do that, whatever your own citations, your own group, your own individual, if you are published earlier something, you can deselect all such things and do a similarity check, and then you can validate all those things. And the references that we add, so at the end in the body of the text, I think I will not come to that. Yeah, I'll come to that. So therefore there also the references that you are going to put should be careful, that you should use a proper references. Those the cross viewing those references, you have to validate. So references also equally important, because the references means when you write a paper, the citations that you make, I mean within that body of the text, those things should be properly, you should take from a valid say journals and all that. Okay, so that also is very important. That's how. And also acknowledgement, as I said, funding agency and all should be acknowledged. And also while submitting, these days many of the journals, they themselves ask for the list of reviewers. List of reviewers, they should not be your, say, maybe a relatives or some within the group who is a co-author earlier in some of your earlier papers. One should not. These are called ethics of this this paper publications. Therefore, so all these things comes in somewhere something called copyright form. When you are going to sign such a copyright form, so you declare yourself that all these I am abide by all these ethics and all those things. Therefore, see, even the reviewers also, one should give a very some kind of very say unbiased. So that kind of a reviewers you can list, but it does not mean that they will send it to the same reviewers, but they only, because sometimes for making the review process is one that faster, they ask for the list. So if they also equally good and they knows, okay, they understand what kind of what is the kind of representation you give. So when you give reviewers, you should not be giving only somebody from Bangalore or somebody from within Karnataka or something like that within India. No, if you talking about some international journals, you make a sufficient the geographical representations like American, Chinese, US, European, something like that, and in your own field, that kind of a reviewers should be given and all that. And all, when you finalize a manuscript, so all the authors, I mean co-authors, everybody should be consulted, and you should evolve a very say complete manuscript So everybody should have agreed for that. Everybody has taken, looked into the manuscript, and everybody has, given, has contributed to that. That is very important. So not for pleasing somebody, you should not put names. Okay. So of course, many times it happens. I know you are bound with various things, but nevertheless, one should try to keep such this one. Those people are asking for their name also should not insist. So all these things should be taken care, because authorship in a journal means it matters a lot. That means you have contributed something scientifically. Okay. Otherwise, you can be simply in the acknowledgement, providing facility or some other say encouragement, even giving funding also. So all those. Well, I think this slide should have come first actually. So manuscript preparation. So as I said, you have a kind of a title of the paper. I think first it is better to show some ISON. For example, my own paper, for example, see title of the paper will be there. Say authors and co-authors. See authors. Say is my first say one PhD student. The first author is my PhD student. So this is myself. So and some of my collaborators in say Bob Atomic Research Center. Okay, all those people. So like this. So we have a list of the authors. Okay, so authors, co-authors, and corresponding author all will be there. The title of the paper and each of their affiliations. When you are submitting, you also need to give their say what is the institution, what is their email address, all this. These days, email is well documented. So each author should have a email and also some researcher IDs. So there is something called recently this RCID ID, ORCID, RCID ID, and various other say main leave and researcher IDs. Even this thing also comes. Okay, so different kind of you can also become a member or something online logging. You can have certain IDs if necessary wherever. So like this, see, in this there is an abstract, then some kind of a keywords. Keywords are actually main. Say for example, this is related to kind of a irradiation, some nuclear waste management, something clay, so like that. In your own field, say you're talking about whatever, say in some kind of a, say, what is that, your simulations, what kind of a software you're talking about, what is that, so like that you can make a important in person who are working in that area, they will be able to find out some 4 or 5 keywords. So by, entering those keywords, it should, gather that whole lot of information. Even in Google search, if you give these keywords, your article should be able to come. To that extent, your keyword should be specific, all that. And also, some journals also ask for kind of a graphical abstract. That is for displaying in the journal web page. If you go, so the list, say in that particular month, what are the say journals have come, and then for this particular article, see this is a kind of a abstract. In this graphical abstract, we give some kind of a schematic. It could be schematic representation. Or so in this case, top one is a schematic representation. Bottom is it has some kind of an important results. Okay, so it put it in the form of a plots. So that can be shown likewise. Hello, Jyoti madam. Hello. I hope they are listening. Hello. Hello.
Sir, audible, sir.
Audible, just under 10 minutes is okay. I'll finish.
Yeah, sir, not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Sometime online, if it is fully silent, again suddenly. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll quickly finish this. See, like this, the title of the paper, you should finalize. When you are finalizing a title of the paper, see that should give, the title itself will encompass the entire, the findings that you have made. The investigations, all those things. The title, when you make a title, and it should be very attractive, kind of a, very, say, this thing, quick, one should, you should be able to gather kind of an interest, curiosity. People by looking at the title, they should feel a, feeling for the reading that particular article. Okay, so therefore, then it becomes very good article. So that means the people start reading, citing, all that. Well, so title and authors, affiliation, abstract. As I said, abstract is actually a kind of an executive summary. Okay, that also should be written in few sentences. In the certain journals ask only a few words, say 250 words or something like that. Okay, and highlights, as I said, some few bullet points. And in each, again, depending on journal, so one highlight, say that means a short sentence. So we should have some 80 characters, 85 characters, something they say. So we should be able to make a very crispy kind of a thing. and then, as I said, this graphical abstract or table of content, then the keywords. So now I come to the main body of this particular, say, article. For a regular article, you write a something introduction. This is very important. So introduction basically it focuses. It is a kind of a focused introduction that clearly, something states, actually maybe states the work in the context of previous work for the general readership in that particular journal. So introduction basically give very, in the first paragraph, it should go in a very, it's kind of, writing a research paper is kind of, directing a movie. So when you go to see a movie, the story, how you tell the story, okay, or that whole thing, in a very, systematic way it should go. So here also introduction, like, you start from the, see, first create an interest. See, this field is so and so. For example, I'm talking about some nuclear waste management, or in your own field. Say, wow, how important it is. Okay, so what is that waste generation? How dangerous it is? What is the need for doing all this? Like that. In your own case, so what is the need of doing such a software, and what are the things it can, the various problems that it can solve? All those things. Then get into, see, in that particular area, how people have worked. So especially the major findings. You cannot be writing so many things. At least the major in the recent happenings and all that. So because you should try to make recent articles reference. Therefore, in all this introduction, then see that is, basically introduction will have a kind of a 3 parts. Initially, you talk about this as a general is one paragraph about that particular area. Then come to what has been done so far, and then final part will be just connecting. So the people have done so and so, and what is, where you have to identify a gap. What need to be done. So what is the attempt people who are being attempt being made by different researchers or group and all that. Okay, then you bring it. Therefore, it is important to do so and so. Hence, we have done so. Okay, like that you should make a one introduction. So that's how basically it will be have a kind of a 3 parts, I can say. Okay, so then say each paragraph you can divide in the form of paragraphs also. Then comes an experimental. So experimental, or sometimes you call materials and methods, or in our own field, sometimes they call kind of a, say, previous work with say modules, all those things for say simulation. I think I'll show some in different field. So most of the things kind of a, it may be materials and method, or the simulations, device assembly, all those things. So there, I mean, this is a kind of a preparation, or all this, like how you gather the data. That's all it is. So this is a section dealing with how the data has been acquired, gathered. So what are the steps by which you are able to gather? Say, for example, from a material science viewpoint, so how material has been synthesized, how this material characterization has been made, okay, and how this material has been used to, say, for example, gathering for a certain property measurement. Say, for example, I'm measuring some magnetic property, or say some electronic property. For instance, we prepared several say spintronic materials. Spintronic materials we prepared in my laboratory. Say in the semiconducting materials, we dope kind of a say ferromagnetic materials and all that. Okay, so for example, zinc oxide is semiconductor N type. There you dope say iron, cobalt, nickel. So we call something called spin injection in the semiconductor. So those are called spintronics. So electronics, wherein you have a spin, that is a so you have a control over the spin of an electron, along with your conventional electronics. Therefore, like this. So how these materials are synthesized? How I measured this spintronic property, like this. So this is only a experimental part. Then the results and this is the heart of your manuscript. So here, results and discussion. There, all that results that you have gathered. So each results, okay, you may say about the synthesis, about the property you measured, how it has been characterized, or how it has been simulated, how you integrated, the modeling, how you developed something. So each case, you should make a critical discussion. So talk about the first results, what has been obtained. See, it increases, decreases, it varies like that, it gives so and so. Then along with that, you should also bring in discussions. Okay, in certain journals, people make a result separate, discussion separate. But in many of the journals, most of the journals, it is results and discussion go simultaneously. So simultaneous is always better. So you tell what is your results and how good it is, or how it makes a comparison with the already published, okay, published or already reported things. So it makes such a comparison with the literature, with the previous, wherever appropriate. Talking about some sensors, say for example, some hydrogen sensor, something. So what is that your material? What is the sensitivity? How it is different from already reported thing? How far it makes, and what are the advantages? So like this, all this, like this, you keep doing all the different discussions. So the discussion is an heart of your this complete is one that manuscript. Then makes a conclusion. Conclusion, there is a slight different from your abstract. In abstract also you make a something called an executive summary. In this conclusion is slightly different. It's not exactly same. It is a there you make a broader conclusions. Say in the abstract you tell what you have done. Here, say for example, you develop some material. Let us say you made a say these are my conclusion. But you can also make this material can also be worked, but it should have some evidence. Okay. It can also be used so and so. That kind of way you can bring a draw certain parallel that behavior where you can make a you can be used and all that. Okay, so therefore it's a clearly present the new insights or understanding that have been gained from the work, and also there are implications. Yeah, this is important. Implication for future work. That's what I said. Making how it can do with other systems, something like that. Make a last sentence of that conclusion and all that. So as I said, the supporting information, as I said, this it need not be included, but you can give a link. So website, they will kind of it will be a repository. It will be kept in that journal website. So there, and the references. It is also very equally important. So references means in all this, when you are writing right from the introduction to conclusion. So usually conclusion also some people put references, but not necessarily. At least up to results and discussion, introduction to result and discussion, you keep on quoting. Say for example, wherever I said comparison with the literature, previous work, from the introduction to this one. So everywhere, so you should make a appropriate citations. I mean the people who have already published, so reported. So that kind of a, for example, here, see, I think, for example, see, I make a in some paper. For example, you see here, this is a Professor C.N. Rao paper. So talking about some kind of a material developed for hydrogen generation. So hydrogen gas generation, because hydrogen is a future fuel. So hydrogen is used in fuel cells, etc. So they develop some material, how much hydrogen is generated, and all that they write. So see, this is a supporting information. If somebody clicks here, supporting information is will appear for him to do that. Okay. Some people give at the end after conclusion or so, depending on the journal format and all. See, title, author, this abstract. Then in the see down below we have keywords. So then I have not taken everything. Say just to show you. Say conclusion. In some journals, what happens? They after this conclusion they write the experimental part. Only in few journals, but majority soon after introduction people write the experimental part. Then you have some kind of author information, all that you do acknowledgement. Then references. How to write references? See, for example, journals. First, you have to write a name of the authors, the title of that particular paper. Not everywhere. So certain journals require title of the paper also. Then you have to write the journal. You have to abbreviation of this journal. That's also important. You all find everything in the internet. You can do it. So, for example, in the JPHYC, this is a journal of physics and chemistry letter. Physics and chemistry letters, I think. Yeah. So like this, you see the down below you have a nature materials. Okay. So like this. So you have a various, say, that do that kind of a references. So I think here also I talked about same thing, like introduction, what is there in that, methods and materials and methods are experimental, what is there, results and discussion. So like this, you have to do a lot of thing. Then you have a conclusions, this acknowledgement, formatting. So here you see references, as I said, and these references again, does it, depending on the that journal, you have different formats. In fact, now we have a kind of a online methodology. Just 1 second. Hello. ನಾನು ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ 10 ನಿಮಿಷ. Hello, yeah. Here references format as per the, for example, say nature group of publication. See, nature group is a very big thing. Okay, so you have a nature materials, nature science, all those you must have heard. IEEE, elsewhere, Springer, Valley, Tyler and Francis, ACS, American Chemicals, Royal Society of Chemistry, American Institute of Physics. Like that, they have a different formats for each of those. For example, elsewhere, most of the journals will have a more or less now similar formatting. Okay. Of course, slight difference in some articles, but more or less now they have brought in a kind of a similarity like that. So if you're publishing, sending articles in for a Springer, yes, Springer has got a particular format. So in fact, you can use some kind of say Mandeley, this one, software formatting and all those things are there. You can put it and it auto formatting is there. And when you're writing that, say for example, the reference number 42 something. So if you click that, it will immediately it will go there. And for example, in between you put some say references, then automatically that number will change. So because when you're writing some big articles, reviews and all that, people go up to 500, say 200, 300, up to 500 references, especially review articles. In regular, say 30, 40 articles, I mean, references. So say manually, sometimes it may be difficult. So many, of course, for 50, 60 up to 100, it's not a issue. But larger number of, especially in thesis writing, report writing, so where they use, say a few hundred references, at that time it's very good to go for this kind of a software formatting online. That is easy. Otherwise, it's in between you want to put some references, then that whole number will again reformat. That is a very difficult thing. Well, so like that, say just to show you some of these things, like all this, and also in all these papers we we need to do a lot of these figures, making these plots. So the figures, I think many people of you must be familiar. There is one Origin software. This is very good actually. You can do lots of say simple say curve fittings, lot of analysis. Kind of you want to do sigmoidal fitting, parabolic, kind of that. Say this one, what that decay, exponential decay, exponential growth, okay, kind of a Lorentzian fit. So many things, depending on this thing. Wherever required, you can do that. Or simple, say data points, you can join it. All very nice softwares are there. You can do so, and also you can do some kind of a three-dimensional thing. You're not just plotting. You can get a lot of data. For example, you want to put a linear fit and all this. From curve fitting, you can get certain data that is useful for your result interpretation. All this, therefore one should be good in say in all this curve fitting, this kind of softwares. Not only this, there are many other things. Even you can do in simple your Excel also some simple plottings is possible. But when you are to do some kind of curve fitting, especially in simulations and all, I think one can use of this kind of softwares. So I use very often about most of my plottings, and also especially in your computer science simulations and all, you need to do a lot of equations, including the mathematics and all that. So a lot of this integration, differentiation, you need to do kind of a matrix, all those things, representation. So there are a number of say equation editors which is integrated with your say Word formatting in the Microsoft Word. So you have something called maths type, say what that formula editor. So you can bring in, plug in that, and do kind of a equation writing is if required. So in the plain text is not an issue, and doing as a kind of a plots, tables, figures. So these are all actually part of our say. In addition to doing R&D, some people are very shy of using say computers and all that. One should be everything, because it is nothing like plotting yourself, then asking somebody, and you need to keep sit with him, tell so many things, and it will never satisfy the way you want it. So therefore, so if yourself involve, especially the young researchers, so now itself you should not be depending on so many other people. So if you do yourself, it becomes a good thing for you for future. Well, so coming to these journals, I think 2 minutes just see these journals. I said I have only shown kind of a very reputed journals and all that. Sometimes in the some colleges and all that, sometimes it is very difficult to publish in some good journals. But to see sometimes research, see from the beginning, if you maintain quality, it's always good. Sometimes some people kind of in the beginning they take it as a kind of a training. So they want to put it somewhere, and they want to just make a say thesis for 2 papers somewhere, somehow they want it like that. So those things are also there. but I don't want to say advocate in that direction. Well, so the journals have got something called journal impact factor. Okay, impact factor of the journal. That itself is a big lecture. I'm not going with that in that direction. So each journal, what is its how good that journal is measured based on its impact factor. Impact factor means basically how many journal papers are published and how many have been cited from that particular journal. Say for example, if you have published, say you have a lot of I said Nature journal, Cell, all those things. So like that, say if those journals are highly cited because the results is something like that, highly exciting, new. Okay, and most of our say modern say that all normal researchers will be doing kind of a parallel work or a kind of a that nominal increment, say we call it a small increment in the existing say findings. Somebody has done something, you want to make just a system change. So many of our chemists we do that. He has studied some zinc oxide, means I will study with that copper oxide, something that. So this kind of parallel studies goes on. Doesn't matter. So there is also important, but at the same time you should also make a good study. That also sometime quality, quantity, everything need. So you should keep some say short-term goals, long-term goals, everything. So a good researcher will do that. If you keep a long-term goal, and that may take 2-3 years. So, but till that time, how do you survive? So you need to do in between, say smaller things. You keep on publishing yearly, say 1 or 2 papers, and also big say long-term project also should be kept in bay, and that simultaneously should go on. That's how this investigation goes. As I said, this kind of a journals, see Scopus indexed journal. There is that Web of Science journals. I think these are the terms many of you are maybe familiar. So Scopus indexed, say you have they index a lot of journals. Okay, you can see that and you can find them. And I will not go this. For example, you are say IEEE transaction on systems, man, and say it has a very high. See, there is something called site score. So journal, that this thing index impact factor, all those things. I think this impact factor is about 1 second, somewhere I have written actually this. Okay, I think it has very high impact factor. It is okay. So the citation score is about 18.1 or something. You see that, and again it changes yearly, even including impact factor. It's on yearly basis. So therefore, so this kind of all these parameters one should look. Therefore, you can make a good quality publications. Okay, so yeah, as I said, the peer review process I told you. So it is being evaluated by a expert committee. As I said, Scopus indexed. That is a SciMago journals, and SCA. This SCA journal means Science Citation Index. So at least if you publish in SCA journals, for many of these funding agencies, if you are writing for some funding agency, they certainly ask for what are your publications in SCI journals. Okay, you cannot just normal journals which are not peer reviewed. You send that manuscript today, within a week or say tomorrow it will be accepted. That is just that kind of journals are also there, but slowly all these things are being removed. Okay, because that may only unnecessarily it will create a lot of space in the environment, just a qualitative that quantity, which is not good. Okay, well, so at least in the Web of Science index journal, say for our PhD students and all, UGC has said you should publish at least UGC recognized journals too. So UGC recognized journals are nothing but straight away journals listed in Web of Science. Okay, so you can get this journal, click on this website, you can see yourself in Google, do all that. As I said, this journal, it's a journal, this impact factors. This Clarivate Analytica do that this kind of a survey every year. So these are well reputed these publications. Yes, this particular, see another journal is IEEE transactions on mobile computing something. See, this impact factor is a 5. So 5 is very good number, very good number. Okay. So normal researchers say 1 to 2 itself is good. So at least say 1. So even 0.1, say 0.5, 0.6, all say like that people publish in different journals. If you do some say impact factor 1 plus means it is a reasonably in our environment, at least in college and university, that is also a good thing. Well, so like this you have there, and the journals are also being measured. Say there are different matrices to understand the impact of this journal. As I said, this site score is there. This one SciMago journal rank, SJR. This one is a SNIP. journal impact factor, and H index. H index is actually it is a individual author level matrix, but now recently it is also being considered for the journal also. Okay. So somebody was telling that Madam Jyoti was telling Manjan has a H index 25. Yes. So like that is author specific. So therefore, now it is also integrated for the journals also. Like this, these are the various parameters for journal say assessment. Okay, journal metrics and all that. Okay, so like that you can look into all these things. Then you have some researchers ID I said. So this one Publon, this IDs, Web of Science, journal citation reports and all that. See, you can create this kind of IDs and all that. Then as I said, this Web of Science, browse, search, and explore this thing. And in the Web of Science, you can put your say title of that journal, okay, or ISSN number, ISBN, whatever it is. You can see in this Web of Science, you can put it. You will get to know whether it is there or not. So now PhD, if you should have 2 papers in say this Web of Science paper. For example, say IEEE transactions on mobile computing. If I put here, so immediately it gives a result. Yes, it is there. Exact match found. So this its entire history comes. That is who has published, what is its ISSN number, all those things. Therefore, now anything you can immediately get to know. Okay, so it in your mobile or internet immediately. For example, see this is just somebody has reported a recent paper in I think same thing. This one, what that IEEE transaction on mobile computing. Okay, so the transactions on mobile computing TMC. DOI number is TO1109 C bar. TMC means this one. What is that? Transactions on mobile computing. Okay. So he has given a title. See, he says IEEE member. These days they put some IDs also. Say for example RCID ID, etc. And some author information. See, this fellow has done this kind of a master's, PhD, so and so, something like that. It depends. Some journals give the author information, bibliography. Sorry, biography of a journal, biography of an author. Okay. Then abstract. See, instead of keywords, it is here termed as index terms. In your computer journal, it is termed as index terms. Abstract, then introduction, then instead of say what I said, experimental or materials and method, here is a something called related work, say problem formulation, system modeling, something like that. It goes construction of the data sets, something. So instead of in chemistry or in other physical this thing, materials and method, they say something like this kind of things. Okay, then come to the results. So because most of things are already explained here in results, they make a subsections, then you give a conclusions and references. References could be apart from your say journal articles, it could be even sometimes the textbooks also, or some kind of a reports. Okay, majority, say more than 90-95% will be journal articles, but apart from that you can also give some reports, can be given some say say that seminar conference proceedings can also be cited. All these things goes. Okay, so like that. So it's all I think I try to refer and cover most of the things. I think I took a little more time. Okay, yeah.
Sir,
Valuable patient listening. Yeah.
sir, I'm here to present a vote of thanks, sir.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I wholeheartedly thank Dr. Manjana sir for such a wonderful webinar. Sir shared such a valuable information on rapid journals, full-length papers, articles in newspapers, IEEE popular journals, oral and poster presentations, how to publish, ethics and disclosures, reviews, similarity checks, how to find the right journal for my paper, supporting informations, author informations, equation editors, sources, impact factors. Sir, this has really helped a lot for all our researchers and research aspirants. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing such a valuable information, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. I also thank our beloved director, sir, Dr. Suresh DS, for helping us to find such a resourceful speaker. Thank you, sir. I also thank Dr. Shantala CP ma'am and Anil sir for the support to conduct the event. Thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you very
take
much.
this opportunity to thank our attendees for the webinars whose presence made this event a very grand success. Thank you. Last but not least, I take this opportunity to thank our organizing committee members of the Computer Science Department, Professor Jyoti K.S. ma'am, Mr. Suhas K.C. sir, Mr. Danish Kumar M.L. sir, Mr. Guru Shankar H.P. sir, for organizing such a wonderful event. Thank you. Before leaving the session, I would like to take some questions for the sirs.
Yes.
If anybody interested, they can ask the questions, please.
Sure.
Okay, sir, how to find the impact factor, sir? Means which is good impact?
Yeah, impact factor you can find it in each journal. They report themselves. So each journal, for example, AAA would say in a transaction and sensor something, you give it, because basically that impact factor comes from, as I said, for journal impact factor, say the number of articles published by that particular, say in 1 year, how many articles have been published by that particular journal, and how many times those articles have been cited in by the other journals. Okay, so that particular ratio, so they take it. So that is the impact factor, and each, that is actually yearly, it keeps changing, and it is being well reported in the journal website. The moment you go there, they write what is the that site index, then this journal impact factor, everything. So that's how. And also you can somewhere I think I told you, you can find a suitable journal for your article. I mean, many people who are working, they immediately get say where it suits. People know, experienced researchers, but early people, they can discuss with the seniors. At the same time, there are some softwares also. If you give a title of that or some keywords, some suggestions, some the list of journals which publish in this, the key based on those keywords is possible. So impact factor basically that citations, based on the citation. Citations means as a reference. Yeah.
Sir, some of the participants are asking for the PPT, sir.
I can certainly, yes. I will send it to you right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jyoti madam, whatever that email address is there, I'll just reply the same thing to you. You can very well use it.
Yeah, we will forward in the group, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Any more questions, please?
Yeah, if they are not able to ask you, they can very well write to me later.
Sir,
yeah.
Okay, sir. We'll share your information, sir.
Yes, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you once again, all the organizing committee. I did not mention Dr. Shantala's name, so so I thank her, who is a HOD, and also all the organizing committee members, including Dr. Jyoti, all other one, and the management committee for making this particular event, which is very useful actually. I asked some of my research scholars also to join, the new PhD scholars. I hope some of must have joined.
They have joined, sir. Nearly 35 members have joined, sir.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's very good actually. Yes. I forwarded that link. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. I'll send a slide. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll